I'm going to turn these back on. Now, I'd like to go over to Revit links. Now I'm going to turn off my architectural underlay. I'm going to click Apply. I'm going to click OK. This looks a lot better. Okay. On the Structure tab, let's click on the Column button. Instead of HSS Hollow Structural, let's click the drop-down. I'm going to grab 12 by 18 concrete rectangular column. I'm going to click on Edit Type. Now I'm going to click on Duplicate. For the name, I'm going to call it 2'6" by 2'6". I'm going to type 2'-6" by 2'-6". We're going to hit OK. Now dimensions B and H, let's make them 2'6". Remember, you can type 2'6". Now for H, typing 2'6". We can click the preview button, and for the view, we can go to a 3D view. There it is. Click Apply. Click OK. Now we need to make sure that depth is set instead of height. Make sure depth is set to top of footing. Now what I want to do is, let's click on Add Grids. Remember, we'll have to go back and clean some of these up. So we're going to click on Add Grids, and we're going to pick a window around the entire model. Once you see everything is selected, click on Finish. Let's keep this one, but we need to rotate it. Then delete this one. Now a couple need to be edited. These need to be moved, and I'd like to rotate this as well as the column. So I'm going to hold down my Control key. I'm going to select my structural column. I'm going to select my footing. Now I'm going to click on the Rotate button. Notice that Revit will find the dead center. It's a two-pick process, so I'm going to select my 45-degree angle grid line. Pick it, swing it around to 45 degrees, and click there. Then it puts it in. Now Revit knew to rotate this, and it knew to rotate this. So what I want to show you is how Revit looks at that. So go ahead and select Appear. Right-click and create Similar. Now see, we're going to place it. But if we come over to this 45-degree line, if we come down to this 0 degree, hit our space bar, it'll rotate it that way. If we come to our radial grid line and hit our space bar, it will know to rotate it and keep rotating it around until it hits the certain spot. Let's hit escape a couple times. Now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to hold down my Control key. I'm going to select these two piers. I'm going to click my Move button. I'm going to pick a base point here. I'm going to move it 4 feet. Hit escape. I'm going to do the same for these two. I select the first one, hold down my Control key, select the second one, click on my Move button, pick a base point. I'm going to move it over 4 feet. That way it's right where we want it to be. Let's go down to our top of footing plan. Let's zoom in on one of these intersections. Notice that Revit will trim it out and it will hatch it all together. It does this because if we select this pier, and if we scroll down the structural material, this structural material has to be identical to the structural material on this wall. So if I select my wall and click Edit Type, I know that my structural material is exactly the same. So I'm going to cancel here. That's why it's going to join these together. They also need to be the same exact height and depth. To get started, I'm going to go all the way down now to my top of footing level. Let's go to the Structure tab. Under the Foundation panel, let's click on Isolated Footing. Let's go ahead and click on Edit Type. Let's duplicate. This one must be 3'-6" by 3'-6" by 12 inches. Let's click OK. For the width, let's make it 3'6". The length is going to be 3'6". The thickness will be 12 inches. Now let's click OK. Now I'm going to pick a window around the whole foundation. I'm going to click on Finish. Everything worked out right. Go to a 3D view. Notice that we have a unique situation here where this is a little too close to the edge. That's okay, we can customize these. Let's go back to our top of footing level. What I'd like to do is select this footing. I'm going to click Edit Type. Now I'm going to click Duplicate. Instead of 2'6", I want to make this 3 feet. I want to make it 3 feet by 2'6". I'm going to click OK. For my H dimension, I'm going to type in 3 feet and hit Enter. I'm going to click OK. Now, of course, my foundation rectangular footing, I need to select this. I'm going to click Edit Type. I'm going to duplicate this one. This one's going to be 4 foot 0 inches. And it's still going to be 12 inches. Just get rid of the number 2. Hit OK. And for my length, I'm going to say 4 feet. I'm going to hit OK. Hit Escape. Type AL for align. I'm going to select the back edge of this isolated footing. I'm going to select the back edge of this footing, and it's going to align it. We hit Escape. Now I'm just going to pick a window around these two and hit Delete. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to pick a window around these two footings. On my Modify Multi-Select, I'm going to click on this button. Now it's Mirror, Draw Axis, so I'm going to click on this button here. I'm going to pick a point right here. I'm going to draw it over. Pick a second point. I'm going to hit Escape. It's going to mirror those down. Let's go to a 3D view. Now we have them in there. We have something to bear on. If we select one of these items, notice that the host is hosted to level top of footing, but if we move one of these columns, that footing is going to move along with it. Wow, so we have an actual foundation going on here. Now in my type selector dropdown, I'm going to scroll down till I find generic 8-inch masonry. I'm going to make sure I set my height. And if we get a line, that's fine. We can just close out of here. And instead of unconnected, I want to go to penthouse. Now what I'd like to do is my location line. Instead of wall center line, I want to click on finish face interior. I want to click on my pick lines button. And again, I'm going to switch my height back to penthouse. Sometimes when we switch items, this will get altered. That's fine. Now what I want to do is my offset. I want this to be 4 feet. To the right, this grid goes up. Now this grid goes to the left. Hit Escape a couple of times. So either way you like to do it, you can click on Trim Extend to Corner. Now in Revit, make sure that you select the items you want to keep. For AutoCAD users, this is exactly the opposite. So I'm going to select this wall here. I'm going to select this wall here, and they remain. I'm going to go here to here. I'm going to go here to here. I'm going to do one last one here to here. I'm going to hit Escape a couple times. Now, I'd rather know what the inside dimensions are. So what I'm going to do is, if you go ahead and select this wall, it's kind of hard to tell where our dimensions are coming from because they're coming from the core center line of the wall. Let's fix that. So what I want to do is I want to go to the Manage tab. Now I want to go to Additional Settings, and I want to go down to where it says Temporary Dimensions. For the walls, instead of center lines, I want to go faces. Now we're going to hit OK. Now if I select this wall, I'll see now I can justify this. So instead of 9'6" and 7/8, I'm just going to click right there. I'm going to type 10 feet. I'm going to hit Enter. I'm going to select this wall here. Instead of 13 7 3/4, I'm going to type in 14 feet. Now I'm going to hit Enter. I'm going to hit Escape a couple times. Now I know what my inside dimensions are of my wall. Now what I'd like to do is put a foundation wall underneath here. I'm going to go down to my top of footing level. The problem is I can't see those walls. So what I'm going to do is in my properties, I'm going to scroll down until I find underlay. In my range base level, instead of none, I'm going to go level 1 and I'm going to click apply. Now I can see my walls above us. I'm going to go to my Structure tab. I'm going to click Wall again. I'm going to click my drop down. I'm going to find my foundation 12-inch concrete. I'm going to select this. Instead of 12-inch concrete, I'm going to click on Edit Type. I'm going to click on Duplicate. This will be foundation 8-inch concrete. Now get rid of the number 2. I'm going to click OK. For my structure, I'm going to click on Edit right here. My thickness wants to be 8 inches. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to click OK. Now on my Draw panel, I'm going to click on my Pick Lines button. Now what I'm going to do is, it's not going to let me change my depth. That's okay. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to select the center line of these walls. And we're going to have to fix this. Now I need to change my base constraint to 0, and I'm going to hit Enter. Now I'm going to hit Apply. I'm going to hit Escape a couple times. Now let's go to a 3D view. I'm going to zoom in down here. I want to make sure that our concrete is just going up to this masonry. So there you go. That's how you make an elevator shaft. Under structural plans, I'm going to go to level 1. I'm going to zoom in on my elevator shaft. Now I'm going to go to my Structure tab. Then I'm going to come down here to my Opening panel, and we'll see that we have a shaft opening right here. I'm going to go ahead and click on Shaft Opening. Now on my Draw panel, notice that I can choose Pick Walls. That way if my wall moves, I don't have to go back and remodel my shaft opening. Go ahead and click on Pick Walls. Let's make sure our offset is set to 0. And what I want to do is I'm going to hover over the outside face of my wall, but I'm not going to select it. So I'm just going to hover my mouse over it. It's going to highlight it. So I hover over once, tab, and I pick it. Now I'm going to select the outside of my walls. Notice that we have a flip grip. I can click on the flip grip. It's going to flip it in or flip it out if you click on the wrong side. Now what I want to do is I'm going to go to my base constraint. Instead of level 1, I'd like this to go all the way down to my top of footing. My base offset is going to be 0. Now my top constraint, I'm going to click the drop down here. I'm going to go all the way up to my penthouse level. Next thing I'd like to do is draw some symbolic lines that are going through here. So I can just make a little axis. So when I'm done, that little axis is kind of part of my shaft. So on the Draw panel, I'm going to click on Symbolic Line. I'm going to draw a line from this endpoint here to this endpoint here. I can draw a line from this endpoint here to this endpoint here. Now I'm going to hit Escape a few times. What's cool about these, if you go ahead and select one of these lines, notice that we get a little line style drop down. This is as close to AutoCAD as you're going to get. Essentially, these are your layers for your line styles. Medium, thin, wide, and some other line types that come right out of the basic Revit package. Your company might have a bunch of predetermined line styles. My company uses basically these line styles. On my Mode panel, I'm going to click on Finish Edit Mode. I'm going to hit Escape a few times. Now if we go to a 3D view, you can't see it, but if you select a window around your elevator shaft walls, just like this, what I'd like to do is click on the Filter button right here. I'm going to click on Check None. I'm just going to grab Shaft Openings. I'm going to click OK. Notice now, essentially what we have is a little void. You can click your grip, move it up or down, but essentially this shaft wall. So there you have it. That's how you cut a void through a shaft wall. We can either double click on this arrow right here, or in the project browser, you can scroll down to West Elevation and double click it here. Either way, let's open up our West Elevation. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on Edit Profile. Notice that we have these magenta lines. These magenta lines can be any kind of profile we want. I'm going to step this down 4, then 2, then 4, then 2. So on my Draw panel, I'm going to click on my Pick Lines button. For an offset, I'm going to go 4 feet. I'm going to offset this footing to the right 4 feet. Now I'm going to change my offset to 2 feet. I'm going to offset it down 2 feet. Now, I usually like to stop here because I start to get confused. The first thing I'm going to do is hit escape a few times to clear out any command we have. Now, I'm going to select this magenta line. I'm going to grab my grip and I'm going to pull it down. I'm going to grab the top of it and I'm going to pull that down. Come over 4, then down 2 again. So I'm going to select this line. I'm going to click on the copy button. I'm going to turn constrain on. I'm going to pick a base point and I'm going to copy it over 4 feet. If you can't eyeball it, remember you can step in 4 and hit enter. And hit escape. I'm going to select this line. I'm going to click copy. I'm going to pick a base point. I want to copy it down 2 feet. And escape. Now I'm going to type TR for trim. I'm going to trim here to here. And then I'm going to trim here to here. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to select this one. I'm going to click copy. Pick a base point. I'm going to go 4 feet. I'm going to select this one. I'm going to click copy. I'm going to come down 2 feet. You escape a few times. Type TR for trim. I'm going to click this line to here, and then this line to here, and I'm going to hit escape. That's about all I want to do for now. So here's what we need to do. We need to mirror this to the other side. So I'm going to pick a window going from the left to the right. I'm going to basically just select my little stairs that I have in here. It happens to be the center line of my building. I'm going to click that center line, and I'm going to type TR for trim. And I'm going to trim these two up, and I'm going to hit escape a few times. Now, I want to get this line out of here. So the next command is we're going to use what's called split element. Right here, there's a little button called split element. You can either click this button in a segment, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hover over this line. And once it hits it, go ahead and pick that line. Now let's come all the way down here. Let's hover over this, and let's go ahead and pick that line, and let's hit escape a few times. Awesome. Let's go to a 3D view. Notice that you can still sketch in 3D, but what I'd like to do is go ahead and click on Finish Edit Mode, and then hit Escape. Pretty cool. Notice that it steps it down. Not bad. Now what I'd like to do is go back to my west elevation. There's an obvious problem here. So what I want to do is show you the Measure command. So go ahead and click on Measure between two references. I'm going to click from here to here. And I see that I have 6 feet. Let's hit escape a few times. I'm going to select this pier, hold down my control key, and select this pier. Now what I want to do is my base offset. Click here and type in -6 feet and click apply. An attached structural foundation will be moved to the bottom of the column. Perfect, that's what I want to happen, so I'm going to click OK. I'm going to hit escape. Now these two piers are longer. Go back to your 3D view. Notice that we have a pretty intense step footing condition. Scroll down over here until I find View Range under Extents. So I'm going to click on View Range and I'm going to click Edit. I can click on Show. What's neat is this is going to show us exactly what our view range is doing, and it gives us a little key. So for my top, I'm going to keep it right where it is. That's fine. My bottom, however, I want to go down as far as Revit will let me look, so I'm going to go unlimited. Now my view depth has to be equal or greater than my primary range bottom. So as we can see, my view depth is going to be number 6 right here. So I want to see down as far as possible. So I'm going to click on unlimited again. I'm going to click apply, and I'm going to click OK. Now we can see all the way down. We can also see the lines that indicate where our footing is stepping down. This is where it gets cool. Now I want to go to the Annotate tab, and we can click on Spot Elevation. So go ahead and click on Spot Elevation. Now what we can do is we can display elevations. So I'm going to click Actual. We can do top elevation, bottom elevation, or top and bottom elevation. I want to do bottom elevation. Now when I hover over my footing, this will be down 7 feet. So I'm going to pick a point here. I'm just going to come over here, and I'm just going to shoulder it in. We can uncheck shoulder if we want. I can come down to this one at 7 feet. Now when we come down, it starts to step it down. So I'm going to click on 9 feet. I'm just going to pick a point right here. I'm going to click here, minus 11. Click here, minus 13. I like to put one here for good measure. I'm going to put one here, stepping back up. If I hit escape, what's cool about it, if I select my 11-foot dimension, I can slide this over, and I can hit escape. If I select this, and if I click copy, I can pick a base point here. I can copy it right down to this midpoint, and it still understands what the elevation is going to be. If I have to come down to here, and I can hit escape a few times. I'm going to go ahead and select down my 11-foot dimension. And notice that we can have different displays for each one. I can display it different now, so I can go to top elevation if I want. It's going to display top elevation. I would make sure that we select all of the elevations to be the same, or else someone's going to get really confused. Now we can have different elevations, so I'm going to click my spot elevation dropdown. Notice that we can have beam elevations, we can have crosshairs, we can have no symbol, we can have targets, and we can also make our round. So if you go ahead and just select no symbol, that one's on no symbol. If I click edit type, I can change any kind of graphic I want. So I'm going to hit cancel here. I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to select the one with the symbol. I'm going to click edit type. We can rotate it with the component. We can change the leader arrowhead. So I'm going to go arrow fill 15 degrees. We can change the symbol if we want. So I'm going to click the symbol drop down. I'll go spot elevation crosshair. I'm going to click apply. Click OK. Notice that it will change them all to crosshairs. Either way they look, this is the most important part. Since this is always going to be accurate, we don't have to worry about if we modify our step footing. Our annotations are always going to be correct no matter what you do. Now, we haven't discussed families yet, but essentially a family is any component that you either insert into a model or that's already inherent to a model. For example, this item right here, this is called a family. This footing rectangular is a family. We don't have a step footing rectangular, so we're going to make one ourselves. To do that, let's go to level 1 structural plan. I'm going to go to my west elevation. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll into this footing right here, and I'm going to select it. I'm going to click on edit type. Now my structural material, this is what I want. So what we're going to do is we're just going to select this entire word, concrete, cast in place gray, and hit Control C. This will copy it to the clipboard. Now let's hit cancel. We need to do that because our material won't join correctly if it's not the same exact material. Now, let's go to structure. What we're going to do is we're going to find the component button, and we're going to click the drop down. And we're going to go model in place. For the family category and parameters, I want to make this be a structural foundation, and we're going to click OK. For the name, let's call it step footing. And we're going to click OK. All right, now notice that we have some 3D extrusions we can do. So for forms, I want to click on extrusion. The problem is we're on an elevation. Revit doesn't know where we want this work plane to be. So that's fine. We can click on pick a plane, and we're going to click OK. I'm going to hover over one of these footings. If you pick it just right, you're going to see that the whole thing will light up. Once it does, that means we're selecting the face of this footing, so click it. Now for our extrusion end, I'm going to type in minus 2'6". I have a 50% chance of this being correct, but that's fine. If it goes in the opposite direction, we can fix it. For the material, I'm going to click into where it says by category. I'm going to swipe over the word by category, and I'm going to hit Control V on my keyboard. I'm going to hit apply. Excellent. Now on my draw panel, I'm going to click on my pick lines button. Now I'm going to pick here and here, and I'm going to hit escape. Now I'm just going to click on my line button, I'm going to pick a point here, and I want to come in 6 inches. Now I'm going to come up at 135 degrees, and I'm going to pick here, and I'm going to hit escape. Here to here, and then here to here. And I'm going to hit escape. Here's my little chunk. Now we need to copy that down and then mirror it. So I'm going to pick a window around my concrete chunk. I'm going to click my copy button. But this time we need to uncheck constraint. Make sure multiple is selected though. Now I'm going to pick this point right here. I'm going to copy it to here. And I'm going to copy it to here. I'm going to hit escape a few times. Now I'm going to pick a window around all 3 of these. Click on Finish Edit Mode. Escape a couple times. Now let's go to a 3D view. Just to make sure we're going in the right direction. It looks like we are, so let's click on Finish Model. Hit escape a couple times. And the chunks are in there. Now the problem is sometimes it will join itself automatically, sometimes it won't. So if we scroll around to the other side, let's make sure we're meeting it in the right spot. And we are. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Modify tab, and we're going to click on the Join button. So go ahead and click on Join. Now we're going to go ahead and select our step footing. And the second item we're going to select is the strip footing. We're going to hit escape. Now it looks like it's one solid chunk. We go back to our plan elevation. Let's go back to our 3D view. Let's zoom out. There it is. It's a little bit tricky, but Revit lets you model pretty much anything. And let's scroll down till we find retaining 12-inch concrete. And this is exactly what I want to use. So let's grab this. Now my location of my line, instead of wall center line, let's go to finish face exterior. For my base constraint, I want to hit the drop down here, and I want to go top of footing. Now for my top constraint, instead of unconnected, I want to go up to level 2. I'm going to give it a 2-foot top offset. Then I'm going to click apply. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to start drawing it out by tracing along with the edge of this topo surface. So I'm going to click a point right here. I'm going to start going in this direction. If it's flipped in the wrong direction, you can hit the space bar, and it will flip it back and forth. I want to keep it on the outside. I'm going to draw it up to here, and I'm going to pick a spot there. I'm going to come up to here, and I'm going to pick a spot there. I'm just going to follow this jagged line along. I'm going to pick a spot right here. Oh, I'm going to hit escape. What we need to do now is configure a footing to go with it. Let's go to our top of footing level. I'm going to zoom out, and I want to make sure the entire thing is here, and it is. So on the Structure tab, what I want to do is I want to click on Wall. So let's go ahead and click on Structural Foundation Wall. I want to click on Edit Type. And my type, I'm going to click the drop down, and I'm going to select Retaining Footing 24 by 12 by 12. Now what I'd like to do is click on Duplicate. This footing is going to be 4'0" by 1 foot. I'm just going to type in 1 foot dash 0 inches by 3 feet. 3 feet dash 0 inches. Perfect. Let's click OK. Now, my toe length is going to be 1 foot. My heel length is going to be 3 feet. Now I'm going to keep the thickness at 1 foot. My default and extension lengths, I'm going to send those out 2 feet. I'm going to click OK. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover over one of these walls. I'm going to hit Tab. I'm going to pick them. It's going to put my retaining footing in. It's going to give us the offsets. If it's in the wrong direction, if you just select one of them, notice that you get a little flip grip. You can always flip it into the opposite direction if you want. I'm going to open up my section. I'm going to zoom in. Notice now that we have a big long footing, and it's offset to one direction. Go to a 3D view. Notice our retaining wall is up against the earth. If we scroll around to the bottom, we can see now that our retaining footing is in there. If you select the end of it and grab the grip, you can always extend it out further if you want. Now, if we select it, again, notice in the properties we have our rebar cover, our length, width, Everything we need is right here. Pretty simple. So that's how you model a retaining wall and a retaining foundation.